Part C of the House Report 115-677. For what purpose does the gentleman from Alaska seek recognition?
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment to the desk.
The clerk will designate the amendment.
Amendment number 14, printed in Part C of House Report number 115-677, offered by Mr. Young of Alaska.
Pursuant to House Resolution 891, the gentleman from Alaska, Mr. Young, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Alaska.
Mr. Chairman, I ask you to submit for the record my statement.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I want to, never mind, revive and extend.
Without objection.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, this is a simple amendment. It's a Clinton-era Roadless Rule that applies to one-size-fits-all to the approach of areas where there are policies that rarely work, especially the federally locked lands in Alaska. At 16.8 million acres, the Tongass National Forest is the largest of the national forest system. Coupled with the Chugach National Forest, Alaska contains 12% of the total acres of national forest lands in the total United States. The Roadless Rule is nothing more than another effort to end the multiple-use mandate of federal forest lands, something that is required by law but often ignored by nameless, faceless, unelected bureaucrats. Although the Tongass is over 100 years old, only 400,000 acres have been harvested. Of the remaining acreage, much of the forest is not topographically suitable for timber harvest, and 6.6 million acres are congressionally designated as wilderness areas, national monuments, and roadless areas. Not only does the Roadless Rule violate the authorities granted under the Alaska National Lands Act, it was adopted without proper consultation or consideration of the countless communities that rely on responsible resource development. Nearly 96% of the Tongass National Forest and 99% of the Chugach are protected by ANILCA and the forest management plans. Exempting Alaska from the Roadless Rule will help make certain that what is left of the timber industry in the Southeast can survive. Many individuals adamantly oppose logging old growth in roadless areas. However, old growth will continue to be predominant in the Tongass, and given the remote nature of Alaska, the vast majority of the forest is in a roadless state. Of 90% of the Tongass is inaccessible by road. The lack of access to timber not only costs good paying jobs, but results in trees dying of disease and infestations. Dead trees serve no purpose other than to become kindling, creating fires. So by having a robust timber industry, we can help prevent the spread of serious wildfires like have been seen in the lower 48. To be clear, we're not talking about clear-cutting the entire national forest. We just want to help to stay healthy and fulfill the multiple use of the Tongass. By significantly limiting the areas that are eligible for harvesting, the implementation of the Roadless Rule actually makes conservation more difficult, since locations with less conservation value often can't be selected. If any reasonable form of timber industry is to exist in the near future, it's imperative we restore Alaska's exemption from the Roadless Rule as quickly as possible. It has placed an undue burden on my state and the people of my state. And may I say, Mr. Chairman, we worry about immigration, we worry about homeless, we worry about employment, we worry about education. I'm saying this Roadless Rule takes away the opportunity for people to survive for their family, and they can have a sustainable silvicultural industry taking care of our forests in Southeast Alaska. The Roadless Rule should never apply to Alaska to begin with. With that, I reserve.
The gentleman reserves. Is there anyone who wishes to claim time in opposition to the amendment?
Speaker.
The gentleman from Arizona.
Thank you. Rise in opposition to the amendment offered by the gentleman for Alaska, and yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This amendment exempts all national forests in Alaska from the Forest Service's Roadless Rule, one of the country's most important conservation safeguards. Inventory roadless areas account for only 2% of our nation's landmass, but they provide invaluable benefits: clean drinking water for over 60 million Americans, wildlife habitat for numerous threatened and endangered species, and they act as a critical carbon sinks that mitigate the impacts of climate change. All of these benefits are threatened by this amendment. Nationwide, the Roadless Rule is incredibly popular. Our constituents understand the importance of keeping intact roadless areas and managing our last truly wild places in a manner that protects old-growth forests and other precious resources from the pressures of development and extraction. It is not just people in the lower 48. Alaskans understand the importance of protecting the roadless landscape. That's why hundreds of businesses in Southeast Alaska have joined together to oppose overturning the recently adopted Tongass Forest Plan and efforts like this amendment to overturn protection for roadless areas. These businesses rely on clean water and healthy forests that support a thriving salmon populations and a robust tourist economy. By rolling back safeguards that protect old-growth forests from harmful development, this amendment threatens fundamental linchpins of the regional economy. The roadless rule is not a job killer, as some make it out to be, because the Tongass Forest Plan balances protections of the old-growth forests by allowing public roads, hydropower projects, utility connectors, and access to inholding, including mines, so its application in Alaska does not adversely affect community access or economic development projects in the legitimate public interest. An exception for Alaska is a major policy change that hasn't had a hearing or any other form of consideration in the House. The controversial provision should be stuck in this Farm Bill without any accountability to the American public. I urge a no vote on this amendment and reserve the balance of my time, Mr. Speaker.
The gentleman from Arizona reserves. Gentleman from Alaska.
Mr. Chairman, at this time, I yield what time he may consume to the chairman of the full committee, Mr. Conway.
The gentleman from the great state of Texas is recognized.
Well, thank you. Just simply, I support the gentleman's amendment. It's common sense, allows Alaskans to do a better job of taking care of Alaska, and I trust them to make that happen. I support the gentleman's amendment and urge adoption.
I thank the gentleman. Mr. Chairman, the comments from the other side of the aisle were talking about Alaskans opposing this amendment. All due respects, I'm an elected representative. And if they don't like what I do, they don't vote for me. I just believe in jobs. When I first got elected to this job, when I first started this Tongass battle, we had 15,000 jobs in Alaska, the timber industry in the Tongass. And through the National Land Act itself, we were told that no other jobs would be lost in the timber industry. And they slowly crept around and eliminated what remaining jobs occurred. And the sad part about it, in my point of view, they've killed the timber industry. That was not the intent. We were supposed to have a timber industry. Then along comes the Clinton-era Roadless Rule. That means you can't build a road anywhere it hasn't had a road. How do you have a hydropower site? We had to fight for 4 years to get a hydropower site. This bill, this action here by a administration, this and the past administrations have to understand this is about employment. This is about managing timber. And those who don't manage anything, you destroy it. So I'm urging my body, this Congress, to do what's right for the state of Alaska and right for the timber, right for the people that live there and depend upon a source of income other than a living off, very frankly, somebody giving them something, they want to work for it. So I urge that time, and I reserve the balance of my time.
All the time for debate has expired. The question. Oh, I'm sorry. The gentleman from Alaska's time has expired. The gentleman from Arizona is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Alaska recently lost in federal court on this very issue. The Supreme Court refused to hear the state's appeal of a ruling that struck down the Tongass exemption. This ended the case. This amendment attempts to run around that ruling and would exempt Alaska from protections that are widely supported and intended to protect our pristine public lands. I recommend a no vote on this. And with regard to the roadless rule, if the issues as the very important and significant issues we confront, whether it's immigration, whether it's employment, whether it's education, whether the issues of poverty and hunger in this country, I would suggest that the cause for not finding solutions is rest in this chamber. It doesn't rest with the roadless rule. And with that, I recommend a no vote again, and I yield back the remainder of my time.
The gentleman yields back to questions on the amendment offered by the gentleman from Alaska. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no.